Think about the last time you made a big change. Maybe you quit drinking. Maybe you left a toxic relationship. Maybe you finally set a boundary with someone who has been walking all over you for years. Okay, so you made the change. And for a while, it felt good. It felt like progress, like you finally did the thing you had been avoiding. Almost like you finally broke free. But then what happened? Tell me, did it stick? Or did you find yourself right back where you started 6 months later? With the same patterns, the same reactions, the same feeling of being stuck. Now, I'm asking because this is the thing nobody talks about when it comes to healing. Everybody wants to talk about the breakthrough, the moment you finally face the pain, the moment you finally admit what happened to you, the moment you finally cry or scream or write the letter to or do the thing that's supposed to set you free. And all of that matters. That is real work. I'm not saying that it doesn't count. But here's what I see happen over and over. Guys do the work. They go back to the wound. They feel the feelings. They connect with their inner child and they process the pain. And then they think they're done. They think, okay, I did the hard part. Now I can just live my life. And that is where it all falls apart. Because healing the wound is only half of it. The other half is building something new in its place, where that wound used to be. Does that make sense? So let me give you a picture of what I'm talking about. Imagine you've got this brick wall in front of you. And this wall is built from every emotional wound that you have never healed. Every moment you got hurt and didn't process it. Every time you got rejected or abandoned or shamed or violated, and you just shoved it down and you kept moving. Each one of those moments is a brick. And over time, those bricks, they stack up. Now you've got this wall between you and the life that you actually want to be living, and between the relationships you want to have, between you and the success that you want to achieve, between you and the version of yourself that you know you are capable of being. And that wall is blocking everything. So you do the healing work. You go back to those moments. You feel the pain. You break down the wall. You tear it apart, brick by brick, memory by memory, wound by wound. And eventually that wall, it comes down. It's demolished. And it's just a pile of rubble at your feet. And that moment feels like freedom. That feels like real progress. That feels like you finally made it through. But here's what happens next. And this is the part that most people miss. You step over that pile of demolished bricks, and what do you find on the other side? Another pile of bricks. But these bricks are different. These bricks are your future. These are the raw materials of the life that you're about to build, and you've got a choice to make. You can stack those new bricks and build something new, something intentional, something that actually supports the life you want to live. A path, a structure, a foundation, something that's designed to hold you up instead of hold you back. Or you can turn around and pick up those same old bricks from the wall that you just demolished and rebuild the exact same barrier, the same patterns, the same defenses, the same coping strategies, because it's easier. That's what's familiar. That's what your nervous system, that's what it knows. That's what your inner child is used to. And I want you to hear this. Let me say that again. If you do not consciously choose to build something new, your body will default to rebuilding the old. Because your nervous system doesn't care about growth. It only cares about survival. And survival, that means familiar. Even if familiar is painful, even if familiar is limiting, even if familiar is slowly destroying your life, because it's certainty. And certainty is safety. Now, your nervous system will choose the known over the unknown every single time unless you train it to do something different. So let me ask you, have you done the healing work? Have you gone back to the wounds? Have you processed the pain? Have you broken down that wall? And if you have, good. I am so proud of you. That's huge. That's the hardest part for most people. But now what? What are you building? What are you creating in the space where that pain used to live? What new systems are you putting in place? What new patterns are you choosing? What new beliefs are you reinforcing? Because you're just healing and then going back to regular life without changing anything, you're going to end up right back where you started. You're going to rebuild the wall without even realizing it. And I see this all the time. Guys go to therapy. They do inner child work. They process their traumas. And then they go right back to the same job that's burning them out, the same relationship dynamics that triggered them, the same coping mechanisms that numb them, the same habits that keep them stuck. And they wonder why nothing changes. They wonder why they still feel the same. They wonder why the healing didn't stick. And it's because they didn't build anything new. They just cleared the rubble and then they walked right back into the old structure. So let me give you guys something practical, something that you can actually do with this, because I'm telling you this, I want you to understand this, not to make you feel bad or overwhelm you. I'm telling you this because I want you to succeed. I want the work that you're doing to actually change your life. So here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to ask yourself 3 questions, and I want you to answer them honestly. Not what just sounds good here, not just what you think you're supposed to say, but what's actually true. First question, what old pattern are you still running even after doing healing work? Maybe it's the way you shut down when someone gets close. Maybe it's the way you overwork to avoid feeling. Maybe it's the way that you numb out at night. Maybe it's the way that you react when you triggered. Whatever it is, name it, write it down. Second question, what would a new pattern look like in that same situation? If you didn't shut down, what would you do instead? If you didn't overwork, how would you spend that time? If you didn't numb out, how would you process that emotion? If you didn't react, how would you choose to respond? And get very specific here, because vague intentions create vague results. You need to know exactly what you're building, exactly what you are going after. Third and final question, what's one action that you can take today to start building that new pattern? One action, that's it. Because building something new does not happen all at once. It happens brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. And this is where the real work begins. This is where healing turns into transformation. This is where you stop being a victim of your past and you start becoming the architect of your future. Because your inner child, that younger version of you who got so hurt, maybe he's healed now, or at least he's in the healing phase. You've gone back, you've listened, you've validated, you've told him it wasn't his fault. You've given him the love and the safety that he didn't get back then. And that's fucking beautiful. That's necessary. That is the foundation. But now he needs you to lead. He needs to see you build. He needs to see you take all of that pain and turn it into something powerful. He needs to see you prove that the healing was worth it, that the life on the other side of that wall is better than the one behind it. And you can't prove that by talking about it. You can't prove that by understanding it. You can only prove it by being it. And in that being comes actions, thoughts, actions, words, behavior. So let me ask you again, what are you building? Because if you're waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan or the perfect version of yourself to start building that, you're going to be waiting forever. The moment is now, my friends. The plan is one brick at a time. The version of yourself that you are waiting to become is built through the actions that you're taking today. From a neuroscience perspective, what's happening here, you guys, pay attention. What's happening here is that you are rewiring your brain through repetition. Every time you choose a new pattern over the old one, You're strengthening new neural pathways. You're teaching your brain that this is the new way of being. This new way is safe and it works. It is worth investing in. And the more you do that, the more automatic it becomes, the more natural it feels, the more your nervous system starts to trust it. But that only happens through practice, through consistency, through showing up every day, day after day, and choosing to build instead of rebuild. This is where people get it wrong. They think that healing is a one-time event. They think that once you process the trauma, you're done. But healing is choosing to build something new every single day. Healing is waking up and deciding that today you're going to live differently. Healing is catching yourself about to fall into an old pattern and choosing to pause and do something else instead. That's the work, you guys. That's the discipline. That's what separates the people who heal from the people who are just talking about healing. And I know that's hard to hear because you've already done so much. You've already faced so much pain. You've already broken down so many walls. And now I'm telling you, there's more work to do. But here's what I want you to understand. This work, this building work, this is where you go. You get to create. This is where you get to choose. This is where you finally get to design the life you actually want instead of just surviving the one that you're handed. And that is freedom. That is power. That's what all the healing was for. So if you're sitting here and you're realizing that you've done the healing work, but you haven't done the building work, I want you to know first, that's okay. You're aware of it now. And awareness is always the first step. But awareness without action is just another way to stay stuck. So what are you going to do with this? What's one thing you're going to build today? What's one choice you're going to make differently? Because the bricks are sitting there. The raw material is in front of you, and you get to decide what you build with that. And if you're realizing that you need help with this part, if you're realizing that you've been healing in circles, but you haven't been building anything new, that's exactly the kind of work that I do with guys. We don't just process trauma, we rebuild identity. We create new systems. We train your nervous system to trust the new patterns. We build a life that exists on the other side of that wall. And if that sounds like something you're ready for, there is a link in the description to schedule a free call. We'll talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and whether this work makes sense for you. All right? So let me bring this back. The emotional wounds from your past are the barriers preventing you from having the future you want. And healing those wounds, that's breaking down the wall. But breaking down the wall is only half the work. The other half is building something new, and that requires time, energy, effort, blood, sweat, tears, discipline, all of it. But here's what I want you to know. You're capable of all of that. You've already proven that by doing the hardest part, by facing the pain, by acknowledging the pain, by breaking down the wall. And now you just have to prove it to yourself by building something better. And if you do that one brick at a time, one choice at a time, one new pattern at a time, you can do that. Ask yourself those 3 questions and take one action today. Start building, because the life you want is on the other side of that pile of bricks. And the only way to get there is to build your way through. Link is in the description if you need help. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.